From our Stars and Dogs segment, it's time for this week's Star.
You've got a star for us. Totally obscure relative to Tesla. Well, many brands are, but this is a tiny microcap on the Canadian market. Ibex.
Well, that's why I went with it. I wanted that contrast. So me and Ryan were talking about this yesterday, and we were going. You mean
their CEO isn't out there, tweeting every 5 minutes about? It's a little.
And
different.
even if nobody would care.
Nobody would care.
No one would care.
So he could be out there doing that.
Yeah. So I will preface this. This is about a $20 million market cap, and this is after what we've seen. So let's get into it. So the star of the week is Ibex Technology, symbol IBT on the TSX Venture Exchange. It is a biotechnology company specializing in manufacturing the enzymes, I should say. Ibex sells enzymes directly to third-party manufacturers for medical devices, quality control labs, no molecular weight heparin manufacturing, and academic research institutions. The stock has jumped 58% over the past month and is currently trading at 76 cents a share. The jump in price can be partially attributed to its Q1 2023 release on the 21st of December, but it was starting to go up a bit before that. So really, what are we going into here? Earnings and revenue were effectively flat. So not great news, obviously. Normally when these small companies come around, you're expecting growth behind it, but no, that's not what happened here. But the thing is, weakness was expected, and Ibex initially during COVID really benefited from the demand for hemostasis tests, which I probably am butchering half these pronunciations, by the way, so you can berate me in the comments. And hemostasis tests are important for COVID testing and hospitalization-related illnesses. So the demand for product has now dropped, causing headwinds for the top line, so that's being revenue. Additionally, the company is expecting weaker earnings due to its R&D spending for a diazamase line, another one of those hard words there. And together, these has effectively created a negative expectation of the stock. So when you're coming in flat with negative expectations, it's actually a good thing. So, and as well, this is a very small microcap. Like I said, it's the opposite of Tesla. And because of that, any news, even neutral news like this or relative positive news, can be seen as a great thing. And really, when it has a strong financial backing, it was featured in our cash rich report in 2022, as well as our Canadian growth and opportunity report, with its cash position of $8.2 million, which is over 40% of its market capitalization at its current, now higher price. So before it was 60, 70%, depending on the exact day and quarter. The cash position in the stock just gives such a good buffer for companies like this. So any news which can give any of these future growth opportunities really a pump up, like it did here, we're starting to see these stock price catalysts. And as well, when you're getting that low, you can start to see some acquisition, like what Ryan has previously predicted for a cash report in our previous podcast show. That might not happen, but for now, it is our star of the week.
And I just did a quick look at the financials here. So it looks like they've produced about $3.2 million in operating cash flow over the last 4 quarters. I mean, not bad. You take, that $19 million market cap, 8.2 million in cash, 3.2 million in cash flow. Not saying that it's a buy or anything, but at least there's something there to look at.
Exactly. Like, it's nothing big, but it's at least something there, unlike some microcaps this size. And Ryan is finally back. He disappeared for a second.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the last part of what you said there because my Mac, and I blame Brennan, just completely died in the middle of that. So sorry. I blame Brennan. Anyways, I know that diamase, which is an enzyme which targets a person suffering, I think, histamine intolerance, it's going to be marketed as a nutraceutical in their MD&A. I don't know if you mentioned this, but they said they're approaching an inflection point in the development of diamase, where if they continue expenses for research and production of the food grade finished product, it will significantly increase and have a negative impact. Expenses will increase, have a negative impact on profitability. So really good numbers. Growth, obviously, in the last quarter in terms of revenues, which is flat basically, and income was flat on a relative basis. The cash balance is really strong. No debt in this business, and cash just keeps increasing. So cash rich, relatively decent fundamentals, but it has moved up, and we expect probably, like, there's not a lot of guidance at all from management, and they really are nebulous on the terms of whether or not they can continue to grow going forward. So you're kind of flying in the dark a little bit with the business. I think that, it kind of just got recognized. I think that's why the market put it higher, bid up the stock. Now it's probably in a fair value range. If you start to see declining earnings for a number of reasons, then it might drop down again. Without guidance from management, it's hard to look forward on the business. Certainly a good balance sheet, building that up. Maybe somebody wants to buy the company at some point, but I didn't hear the last part of what your argument was on it. So, I mean, it's something in that, probably along those lines.
Yeah, quite close. We did talk about this yesterday, but it's an interesting company. It's one which...
It certainly is, yeah. Produces cash flow, has a great balance sheet, and, has good earnings. Like, when it was trading at 30 cents, it really is, an opportunity there. But, again, management didn't have a ton of guidance going forward then. It was kind of a surprise to see the earnings jump over the course of past year as they did. They may flatten out now, and there may have been some purchases pulled forward from some clients that maybe level off over the course of this year. But we'll continue to monitor them. Certainly an interesting little cash-rich microcap.